Good day, and welcome to the Budding Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Randy Bridges. In each episode, I cover my experiences, both good and bad, of being a business builder, as well as my journey through the crazy world of entrepreneurship to reach my goal of earning $10 million a year. All right, it's the first episode of 2024. Today is January 4th, and I want to welcome you back to the Budding Entrepreneur Podcast. This is nice because we now start what I consider to be season 4 of this, and we are again on episode 129. Today, as we go through and do this, everything is going to be looking forward for a while. January is a great time to really get your head wrapped around all the things that you need to get done in the next coming months and the next quarters. And so it's really important that we keep all of our focus looking forward, making things work as well as we can. Now, we've been going through the $100 million offers by Alex Hormozi, Mastery by Robert Greene. I've been focusing on fanatical prospecting. I mentioned that the last episode, and it's by Jeb Blunt. It's a great little book. We're going to focus today on one particular aspect of it. He talks about email as a way to do prospecting, which is one of the many ways. And he talks about the proper way to write an email, and there are 4 different parts of it. This is very similar to the parts of marketing. Anytime you're doing something, you've got a hook, a story, an offer. That's for marketing. In this case, he talks about an effective email having a hook, relate, bridge, and ask. Those 4 parts of it. And so I want to take a second and describe each of those so that we get a really good handle on what is happening. And when we're done, then I'll go ahead and grab a quick email quote that he gave us. So a hook is designed to get their attention with a compelling subject line and an opening sentence or statement. This is very much like an ad. You have to have a really strong statement in the very first thing you start. Otherwise, you lose the people that you're trying to get. And they'll just be like, yeah, okay. And they're gone. I mean, if you make it past the first sentence in an ad, you're lucky if you do that. In this case, we want to have that hook to keep their attention, get it and keep it. The second section is on relating. We want to demonstrate that we get them and their problem. We want to show empathy and authenticity. We want to make sure that the person that we're writing to really feels like we understand what they're going through on a daily basis. Even if we may not really have a good handle on that, we want to be able to demonstrate that we do. Bridging is connecting the dots between what problem they have and how we can help them. And we want to explain the what's in it for me, the radio station WIIFM. We've discussed this many times. It's a very good concept to keep in mind. To the reader, that's what it's all about. If it has nothing to do with them, hey, man, it's out, right? And then finally, ask. Be clear and straightforward about the actions you want them to take and make it easy to do so. We'll talk a little bit about the differences, but one of the things that he says that is important about an email is never use the word hi, hello, or dear in front of your prospect's name. All that does is scream, hey, I'm a salesperson. And I see that myself. I look at it and go, oh, hi, Randy. Dear Mr. Bridges. I'm like, are you serious? Yeah, it's annoying. It lends an air of familiarity that doesn't exist. Now, if somebody just said Randy, now that's kind of collegial. It isn't something, I mean, obviously if a person has a title like a doctor or sergeant or something like this, you want to have that level of respect that shows you understand who they are and that you're allowing them that level of respect. They've earned it. So this is one of the things that we want to keep in mind. Hook, get their attention. Relate, demonstrate that you get them and their problem. Bridge, we want to connect the dots between their problem and a solution we can provide them. And then make a clear ask. Here is an example of the 4 elements of an effective email in action as Jeb Blunt has provided us. Subject is COO, the toughest job in the bank. And the email reads, Lawrence, Ernst & Young recently reported that the COO has the toughest role in the C-suite. The COOs I work with tell me that the increasing complexity of banking environment has made their job harder and more stressful than ever. My team and I help COOs like you reduce complexity and stress with strategies to optimize growth and profit, mitigate credit risk, allocate resources effectively, and minimize regulatory surprises. While I don't know if we're a good fit for your bank, why don't we schedule a short call to help me learn more about your unique challenges? From there, we can decide if it makes sense to set up a deeper conversation. How about next Thursday at 3 p.m.? David Ayer, Senior Account Executive, Juno Systems. This example really sets a tone that the salesperson on the other end actually understands what the COO is going through. Now, you may have heard emails like this a lot in the past. These are very similar to doing not just emails, but also letters. There's one thing that's in there that a lot of people might miss, and that's the takeaway. While I don't know if we are a good fit for your bank, that's called a takeaway. We don't know. At this point, we could spend all kinds of time talking about things and making things happen and still not actually be a good fit for you. That's what we're essentially saying. We're not presuming the sale, like so many people tell you to do. We're not presuming that things are going to work out. We're creating a situation where, hey, maybe it won't, maybe it will. We don't know. So we're going to set our expectations based upon what we find moving forward. If we find that it makes sense, we'll go ahead and set a deeper conversation. And that's an important thing. The other part of this is, instead of playing the phone game tag of this, that, or the other, it's how about next Thursday at 3 p.m.? Just a simple, straightforward kind of thing. Now, I use Calendly. It's a little more up to date for certain things, because I can set my availability and then they can work in around that availability. But there's a lot of people that don't like that. And so what I might say is, how about next Thursday at 3 p.m.? If that doesn't work, you can always hop onto my calendar and set up a different time that works for you. That's just my style of handling things. Moving on through our episode here, we're moving into the ideas and concepts phase of what we're talking about here. And again, Jeb Blunt has a great thing that he utilizes. He talks about time blocking. Now, this is not just for sales. This applies at all different kinds of levels in a business, different business focus points. This applies to the entrepreneur. It's really about creating short, concentrated, and focused areas that we focus or deal with just one thing in there. To borrow the quote from Jeb, time blocking is transformational for salespeople. And I, of course, would add for any executive for that matter. And he continues, it changes everything. When you get disciplined at blocking your time and concentrating your power, you see a massive and profound impact on your productivity. You become incredibly efficient when you block your day into short chunks of time for specific activities. You get more accomplished in a shorter time with far better results. And I would agree with that. That's a great quote to pull in, going from these ideas and concepts and time blocking is similar to what another gentleman called the floating time block. And we've talked about that before. I'll probably bring that in again in the next couple of weeks. As we are forward looking, this is another tool that we can put into our arsenal. It's basically anytime you have a break and you have a list of tasks that are short 5-10 minute tasks that you can complete. Instead of wasting your time, you just drop them in. We'll talk more about that a little later on. In the business strategy side of this is something that I had to try to put all of my thinking together for, because as we're doing business strategies, we're wanting to have things that can chain together, and it's called a sequence chain. What it is you have a series of different sequences, things that happen in a particular sequence, and you run them individually. You check them, you make sure they are doing what you want them to do. Many times an email will fall flat, and you'll find out in the middle of the sequence, and you'll just see a drop off, and you don't know why. Well, that's where you can fix it on an individual basis. So sequence chains there are usually three general types. There are process sequence chains, there are email sequence chains, and there are offer sequence chains. And what we're doing is we're finding something that we can put together. The value ladder is a perfect example of this. We have a high ticket item, a mid ticket item, a low ticket item, and then a series of free things. Now, we build it backwards. That's the Aaron Fletcher method. Build from the top down, and then offer the free things, and then encourage people to buy the low ticket item. The $7 guidebook, or the book that you wrote that's on Amazon that sells for about $20 to $29, or you can get it on Kindle maybe for 99 cents or $1.99. And what these do is they set you up. If you do it right, you're building the ability of people to grow larger so that they can accumulate more of the knowledge that you possess, and you present it in a way that they can just absorb it. Great example of that is all the free stuff that a lot of people put out. And you go from free to buying a book. From buying a book, you go to a program. Then from that program, you go to the large program. And then you get into masterminds and high ticket systems and things like this. That's an example of a sequence chain in offers. Okay, you can see how they escalate as they go, and people have to have more money as they grow with you. What happens is you build these individually, you test them, you can use beta tests, and instead of being a $10,000 program, maybe you're going to sell it for $2,000, right? You want to get the feedback of what you do. Then you take this and maybe you try to escalate them into your next level of your offer. You keep doing that, and we prototype this. Prototyping, we're going to build part of it, test it, and see if it works the way we think that it does. Then when we're done with that, then we move on. And so you keep prototyping. You have different parts of the company prototyping different things. Agile allows you to do a lot more of a structured approach where things can be fixed on the fly, so you're not prototyping constantly. But in the case of like sequence chains, processes, email, offers, these offer great ways to prototype and then combine. You can measure each. You always want to measure whatever you're doing. And then you measure the combined functionality. I have a series of sequence chains in my email that I go through, and I've found that by giving away a lead magnet by itself to a cold audience, they don't know who you are. So the thing that you got from them is good, but not great, right? That's generally the thinking they're going to have. And what I found is that by warming up the audience with about 2 weeks worth of emails, occasional or on a very directed problem solution outcome matrix, by putting that out there and giving them a taste, you give them a choice at the end. Do they want to go and get more of those? Or if they don't take any action, Then you go through and send them the lead magnet, which gets them more involved. And then for those that have moved on into the second part of the email chain, now you bring them into the lead magnet as well. And by funneling that through, you kind of create a little mini loop that people can be with you longer if they want. Why would you ever say, hey, I don't want you to continue to get value from me? You could throw the lead magnet in there and see who bites. And then from the ones who bite, you could see, do they want to go into this second set of helpful emails? I tested it and it didn't work out very well by doing that. So now I just go through and create a separate loop that both of them come together at the lead magnet. The sequence chains are a business strategy that allow you to think outside the box with your business by creating systems that function independently. And then you make sure that you can tie them together so they complete a longer sequence of whatever it is that you're building. So that's what we're doing today. That's our episode. We're going to keep it kind of short as we look forward. I wish you the best in your health, your wealth, your family, your business, everything about you. Take care. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode. Happy 2024, everybody.